Hey, what's up guys? Good Gypsy, and we're back here today with NPL Week 6, going up against my boy Rob in what should be a really high match. Rob is a very good player. He's a guy who moved up from the minors. He won minors last season, so shout outs to my boy for winning minors. And yeah, he's a very competent draft player. Nice up and coming threat, a big name to look out for in the future. But yeah, he's already pretty well known in the format, and yeah, he also kills it in the Smogon scene as well. So definitely go and check out Rob's channel for some great content. But yeah, my man has a very threatening team, as you guys can see. He's got stuff like Victini and Thundy, just amazingly solid offensive mons with fantastic coverage. Mega Sharpedoes is a fantastic budget mega, really solid mon. With the new mechanics to Dark types and Prankster, he can't be T-waved by stuff like Klefki. Opposing, Thundies, obviously Rob has Thundy of his own, but so that just makes Thundy like that much better this gen. Also, our league has a rule where he doesn't have to Mega Evolve turn 1, so he can accumulate speed boost, which is pretty solid. But yeah, basically Rob's team is full of threats. It's got a pretty solid like defensive core and stuff like Hippo. He actually picked up Ordino that we dropped earlier in the season, so shout out to my man for like seeing the potency in Ordino. It's a solid cleric. Yeah, anyway, he's got a lot of threats, and he's got a pretty solid defensive core on his team. And yeah, building for this was definitely I was definitely kind of hard pressed to run certain checks to stuff like Thundy, stuff like Primarina, which is definitely a big threat to basically every team. I don't think many teams, unless you have a Chansey on deck, really have a great response to Primarina, just because it is so strong with specs. And obviously, that typing is amazing for stuff like Hydreigon, just walling Hydreigon, for example, as well as stuff like Suicune. It does get Encore, so it's a really nice check to Carmine Coon sets. Yeah, and that's basically it. Roserade is a solid mon on Rob's team as well. It's pretty solid in this matchup, as it does check Coon, which could be a big threat to him. So we're going to go into that as we get on. But yeah, Scizor is also another fantastic check to Mega Diancie. He has a couple of ways to check Mega Diancie. I actually haven't brought it in this matchup, as you guys can see. He has stuff like a Powdon, which if Spadef can take it on. Granted I can run Magnum Rise, but he can always run Steel Coverage for Diancie if he predicts that. And yeah, Diancie just is revenged by stuff like Iron Tails, Thundy, Bullet Punch Sizz, like a Scarf Primarina, something like that, as well as like Aqua Jet on Mega Sharpedo. So anyway, these are the 6 we are rocking with this week. We do have Landorus predominantly here just to get a big hit off with Z-Fly. Rocks are crucial in this match. Rocks are really important for my Hydreigon to just put in the work this game. If I can get them up, that's going to be really appreciated. Rock Polish is here in the situation that I can potentially set up a Rock Polish on like a Protect or Dino, or like a Scizor that can't hit me like really strong. Hitmonlee as well as another mon that I can set up a Rock Polish on. Could be really clutch for sweeping late game once I've chipped down his Thundy and put it in range of Fly, or even Z-Fly if I haven't popped my Z-move by that point. Obviously Hippo kind of takes on this set, but we've got ways to beat down Hippo and potentially trap it, so that's pretty solid. Definitely a solid one in the matchup. Like I said, rocks are critical. Nothing too crazy about this Lando set, just like a really solid, bulky, powerful Lando. Enough speed on here to creep max speed Primarina if he's timid. I timid specs Primarina, you'll see it's a bit of a trend on my team. I'm not trying to be outsped by that and like blown back, if I can help it. The next one we have on the squad is my Assault Vest Decidueye. Obviously this is outsped by a speedy Primarina, but if he's like min speed or creeping, no speed Decidueye, we will get the outspeed with our little minor creep here. But yeah, I really did need a lot of Spadef on this mon to be able to check Thundy and Primarina consistently. This thing is like ridiculously fat with with an AV, and this investment I can take on even like Special Victini. I take like 50 from a Blue Flare, which is crazy. Trap it in with Spirit Shackle, then knock it out with Sucker. If he's taken around rocks, it's guaranteed to die to those 2 hits. But yeah, mainly this thing will be switching into the likes of Roserade. It'll be switching into stuff like Primarina, Thundy, barring like a physical Thundy, which he definitely could bring. But I feel like Special Thundy is better versus my team purely because I do have the Piloswine, which is a decent mon in this matchup, and he's going to want to have Z Focus Blast 100% to be able to blow that back, as well as being able to check Hydreigon if that is my switch into Thundy, for example. So yeah, I don't see, like, he could bring like mixed or physical, but I really honestly feel like Nasty Plot 3 attacks will be coming all special this match. So that's basically the main reason behind Decidueye here. U-turn obviously is really solid into stuff like Landorus, into stuff like my Hydreigon. Forms a nice turn core with Hydreigon, as we're going to get to later. Just a very solid mon in this matchup. Then we have Celesteela, my Assault Vest Celesteela. Went through a few different ideas for this set, but ultimately settled on Assault Vest. It does help me weaken, it does help me soften the blows of Primarina, which otherwise Decidueye would be forced to check, Primarina, Roserade, and Thundy, which is no small task. It's always nice to have a friend in the back to help share that burden. And this Celesteela is thick. With this Assault Vest, his Spidef is through the roof. His Fizz Def is enough where I can take on a Sharpedo, as well as easily, effortlessly take on Scizor. It's always really nice to have that. It's a nice check to stuff like Hitmonlee if my Lando or my Goth or my Coon get weakened. Giga Drain allows me to 2-hit Sharpedo. Sharpedo can't 2-hit me in return, factoring in Giga Drain recovery with Crunch if he's Adamant Crunch. Stone Edge here for the Thundy. I can take a Life Orb T-Bolt after Rocks because I'm Assault Vest. Although I do think he will be Z-fighting, so that just makes that a bit easier. But yeah, this mon is really solid here. Obviously, like, it's not very strong. Like, it's quite weak, but it's not going to be doing any breaking. It's not going to be 6-0ing like last week. It's not going to be doing any sweeping, but it's going to be fulfilling a role that is quite important on this team. I'm not trying to get swept by Sharpedo, and stuff like Scizor demand respect, because a bulky SD variant could definitely come. And look at my team. Like, I do have Coon. I do have, like, Hydra, which is bulky just naturally, and I do have Lando, but if he's really bulky and he starts setting up SDs, we could be in trouble. So obviously we want to have the nice check to that with a flamethrower in the back. Then we have this really cool Goth set. Basically this Goth actually lives a Victini's V-Create with this HP and defense. If he's a bandit, obviously that's a different story. But if he's like a Scarftini or something, like I live a V-Create from Adamantini. Mainly this mon is here to trap important threats on his team. So stuff like Azolf, I can potentially lead with my Scarfed Hydra, U-turn into Azolf, and trap it with Foul Play from my Goth. Goth is a mon that can trap Roserade as well, which, as I mentioned earlier, is a pretty big threat to my Suicune. If I can remove Roserade from the game, then I remove his opportunity to set up spikes, remove his opportunity to check stuff like my Suicune. It's also a great way of trapping Sharpedo if he is already Mega'd and he doesn't have like speed boosts up. I can come in and trap Revenge with Energy Ball. If Victini chooses to be like ban V-Create and blows back like Decidueye, for example, not that I'd really leave that in, but if he does, I can just bring this in, trap it, and bop him with Foul Play if he's weakened or if he has his defenses lowered. It's a nice Revenger to Thundy. Again, we outspeed Thundy with this EV spread, and I can hit him with a Psyshock or a Foul Play if he's weakened. So it's a pretty nice mon to have in conjunction with my U-turn core. I do have U-turn on Decidueye as we saw earlier, and then on my next mon, my Hydreigon, as we're going to get into now. So yeah, two U-turners really appreciate Goth to trap, switches into my pivoting mons. Then we have, so we got the Scarfed Hydra here. Really solid mon in this matchup. Obviously he could bring Primarina, but if he doesn't bring Primarina, if he opts instead to bring like Sharpedo as his form of water offense, it's possible that he could bring both, but then he really opens himself up to a weakness in other areas. So if he doesn't opt to bring Primarina and like a really Spidef, or this mon can put in the work. It really comes down to what he brings, but this is a really solid win con on my team. I wall Sharpedo naturally due to my typing, which is pretty solid, but Sharpedo's crunches are still going to hurt. It's a nice one that can just spam Dark Pulse and Draco during the game. If it's a setup Thundy, I always have this in the back. I don't expect it to be agility versus me. Thundy's natural speed outspeeds my entire team, and I do feel like he's going to want the power of a nasty plot in this matchup. So yeah, it's nice to have this speedy Hydra in the back. Obviously being immune to pranks the T-Wave because of my dark typing, I could just come in here and drop Dracos, or just bop him with a Dark Pulse if he is a bit chipped down. So yeah, Hydra is a really solid one. Haven't brought Scarfed all season, so hopefully that'll be a nice surprise factor in this game. Although Rob may also see that coming because Scarfed Hydra is a pretty solid bring here. So the last one we have on the team is my Wakan Crocoon. So again, haven't bought Crocoon all season. I've actually kind of dismissed this set, not dismissed it, but I've kind of pointed out in the past that like, oh, all people usually run when they use Coon is Crocoon, and that's why people have bad results with it, because they don't use it, they don't use variety on Coon, they just use the standard Crocoon set, and as a result it's really easy to prep for. But we haven't actually brought it all season, and we're bringing it this game because it does work. Like with Wakanberry, I can take on Thundy, I can take on any set of Victini. I can always switch into like a V-Create into Bolt Strike, guaranteed. I can start Calm Minding up. If he's special Teeny, then I just set up on it. I set up Calm Minds with the Wakanberry, reducing the power of T-Bolt. I just set up, rest up, start spamming Scald versus his team. If I get a few Calm Minds up, then Roserade can't wall me, barring crits or barring a Glyph or Belief Storm. So that's really nice. Yeah, just looking at his team, this Coon set can perform really, really well in the late game if I can weaken or remove the checks to it. And Gothitelle accomplishes that, just being able to trap stuff like Roserade and Primarina. Even with Primarina, I can trick it a Choice Scarf. If it is Specs, soften the blows, or I can just take it out with 2 Psyshocks if it's taking some chip. So that is the team. Pretty happy with the squad, and no doubt it'll be a fun game. Gonna pause it here and we're gonna jump in. Alright guys, so we're back here with the game versus Rob, and as you guys can see, he's opted not to ring Primarina, so yeah, Hydra is looking to go in. If you look at his team, Ordino could definitely be Spit F at this point, like nothing's been confirmed, although the fact that like he has Sizz, he may have opted to run like Spit F Sizz, or like maybe even Fizz Def Sizz, but I feel like Ordino may want to be like more physically bulky to check things like Landorus, which also just kind of go in versus his team. Like Rock Polish Landorus like fucks his team unless it's like really Fizz Def Ordino or Fizz Def Sizzle to take a Sky Strike. I could be like Z-Rock as well to just bop the Thundy. So like I feel like he's gonna definitely have some Fizz Def on his squad. He's gonna want to be able to take hits from Celesteela on his Ordino as well as a pivot, so that kind of led me to believe that Sizzle may be more Spit F, or even like a really Spit F Roserade. So earlier in my team builder I mentioned that I could opt to lead with Scarfed Hydra on his obvious Scarfed or like Focus Sashed Azelf Rocks lead matchup. I could always U-turn with my Hydra, maybe bait the Dazzling Gleam if he does have it, and go into my Goth preventing rocks and just trapping and killing him with foul play. Even if he does get rocks up himself turn 1, then I'm just left with a full health Goth. But I was thinking like, this is one of those situations where I could do that. I really could, and honestly, like, to a lot of people, I may have no reason not to do that. But when you look at his team and you look back at Hydreigon and you really appreciate what a wink on this thing is, what a monster it is versus Rob's team, it's really, really not worth just boldly making that play turn 1 when he could in fact be bluffing like Sash Azelf and be actually a Scarfed Azelf, which is also really solid versus my team. Outspeeds all my Scarfers, outspeeds a Scarf Lando, which is a pretty big threat to his team, outspeeds a Scarfed Hydra and kills it with Dazzling Gleam. This is not a chance I wanted to take so early in the game. What it would have led, if this had gone wrong and if I had led with Hydra and he had himself been like Scarfed Azelf, he just clicked Dazzling Gleam and killed me turn 1. And I was down him on, granted I brought in Goth and I trapped him and killed him with foul play. I was down without my Hydra, and that would have really, really made this game a lot more difficult than it needed to be. So I am actually going to opt to lead with my Goth, trapping his Azelf turn 1 and just taking him out with 2 foul plays as he does get up his rocks. So whilst I could have avoided my Goth like taking the knockoff here and getting its Scarf knocked off and getting weakened, potentially using it late game to trap the Roserade. I stand by my play, preserving my Hydra. Like, even though it was very unlikely he was going to be Scarf Azelf, it's just one of those situations where it's not worth risking it, because Hydra just goes in, as you will see in this game. So I'm going to take out his Azelf here with the foul play. He does not have U-turn. He may have had U-turn, but he opted to go for knockoff into Stealth Rocks there. So I do think he was probably Iron Tail knockoff, maybe like Hidden Power Ice or Taunt, even like Boom maybe. To stop like a lead Landorus with rocks. But now he's going to bring in his Sharpedo, and this thing is a monster. Selly is actually 2 a code, depending on rolls, after rocks from this Adamant Sharpedo, so I don't want to make that play. I don't have lefties on my Selly, and I'm not full Fizz Def, so I'm just gonna unfortunately have to sack off Goth here, but Goth did trap Azelf, which is important. So he's going to knock me out here with Crunch. Sharpedo is Mega though, which is nice. This means this thing does not have a speed boost, which is going to allow my Hydra to come in and scare it out. So I'm going to drop a Draco here. Really just scouting out what sort of set this Ordino is. If he's Spit F, I'm going to know by this damage. It's going to tell me valuable information, and it's going to let me play around it in such a way after knowing his investment. So now that reveals that he's definitely not Spit F. He's not like max Spit F at all. In fact, he's probably no Spit F. He's probably like max Fizz Def, judging by how much that did. I'm a Scarf Hydra, not a Specs. So that was that did a lot of damage to an Ordino who was really bulky. So he's gonna go for Wish this turn, as I do bring in my Celesteela. I'm gonna make the double out to my Landorus this turn, in case he wanted to. Click knock off this turn, as I couldn't kill him. Because he was Fizz Def, I couldn't kill him with my Celesteela. And if he wanted to go for knockoff, he would have knocked off my Assault Vest, which would have been really bad for stuff like Roserade and Thundy later on. Because I am Z Landorus, I would take nothing from a knockoff. It wouldn't knock off my item. And on the off chance that he did protect there, I also gained nothing by staying in with Celesteela. He was probably going to protect there, so me going Landorus awards me rocks next turn, which are, like I mentioned in the builder, critical in this game. So he's going to go for protect, as he's going to receive that wish back, and I'm just going to fire off the rocks here. Now, this Ordino could well have Ice Beam. That was something I was definitely ready for. It won't kill my Landorus from the range of health I'm at. The way he took that Draco meant that he was max HP, and I highly doubt he's like max HP modest with Ice Beam, which would obviously kill my Landorus. But we do chew that Ice Beam. We don't chew, but we live, and we can switch into rocks once more. So that is important. That is definitely important. Preserving Landorus could be clutch in this game. Firing off a Z-Fly versus a weakened Ordino or like a Scizor could be really important. He's going to go for the Ice Beam here, as I am now going to switch out to my Celesteela. He's going to opt to Wish up this turn, so I go for rocks. I go for Stone Edge here, just in case he wanted to make the really aggressive play into Thundy, knowing it could live a Stone Edge. If I wasn't like, adamant boosting item, or even like adamant max attack kills Thundy, kills no bulk Thundy from 75 with Stone Edge. But if he did want to make the aggressive play into Thundy, predicting me to go for something like Toxic or Leech Seed, he'd receive the wish back, or even like Heavy Slam, he'd receive the wish back, bring him back to full, which would immediately put him in the driver's seat, being able to nasty plot or boost up, or even just fire off like a Gigavolt Havoc versus me. However, he is going to stay in and encore me. Very smart play by Rob. Had I been Toxic there, then like I could have Toxic his Ordino, which he reveals not to have Heal Bell, I do believe. So that would have, kind of put him in a tricky spot with this Ordino's like longevity through the game. But I do go for the edge here, and he does encore me. So I'm going to make the switch out this turn, go into my Suicune. I know this thing doesn't have Toxic. At this point he's revealed Wish, Protect, Encore, and Knockoff. Oh no, Ice Beam. So I know his full moves. He's like, he can't touch my Suicune. He can Encore me, but I can fish for Skull Burns here. I don't want to start Carmining up because he has a Rose he can go out into. He has this which can Encore me. I'd much rather get a Skull Burn, and Skull Burns are quite... Skull is quite free versus Ordino because, as I mentioned, the only thing he can do is Ice Beam and Encore me. If he wants to go into Roserade, I scout his spread. If he's offensive with Technician, then I get a Burn that could be really solid for wearing it down, putting it in range of Sucker Punch from Decidueye. So I'm going to go for the Scald here, as he does just go out to his Roserade here. And he, I think he made a double that turn. Let me see. I go into my Suicune here as he makes the switch out to his Roserade. which was a really solid play on his part. He made the switch because he knew my Celesteela was encored into Stone Edge, and he makes the aggressive switch into Roserade because I was obviously going to switch out there, more than likely going to go into my Coon on the Ordino. Because at that point in the match, as mentioned, he'd revealed to be Ice Beam, Mono Ice Beam. So I'm going to go into my Coon here, as now I'm going to switch out into my Decidueye, as he is just going to fire off a Sludge Bomb. No, he does 20% with that Sludge Bomb, so we're going to chew that up. Except he gets the poison, which is you know, it happens. It's pretty unfortunate. We're going to get some luck in our favor later in the match, so it kind of balances out. But it's definitely unfortunate because now the Decidueye, who was a fantastic check to stuff like Thundy and Roserade, is going to be chipped down turn by turn. So because I have taken such little from that Sludge Bomb, he's going to know that I'm a Soul Vest, and here I feel like he's either going to go hard into Ordino, who can actually wall Decidueye quite well. He may not know that, but it can wall Decidueye quite well, or he's going to make the really aggressive switch into Sharpedo if he's predicting the Spirit Shackle. What that would award him is a free kill here, basically, or just massive damage off on my Hydreigon as he goes for Crunch, which is really important, because if he gets a Crunch off plus Rocks, I'm going to be in range of Bullet Punch from an offensive Scizor, which is going to be really solid for my opponent. So I'm going to go for the U-turn here, expecting him to either go into Ordino, which would award me a switch into my Suicune to again fire off Skulls. I could also make the switch into Hydreigon and start firing off Dracos. And if he goes into Sharpedo, then I will get some nice damage off on that Sharpedo with the U-turn. Won't take him out, but it'll still do a clean chunk. As he is indeed going to switch out this turn, he's going to go out into his Sharpedo. And yeah, we're going to get this nice U-turn off. It does 51%, so nice damage off from this Sharpedo, as I can just bring in my Hydreigon. This is what I spoke about earlier in the builder. This U-turn core is really nice. Every time I bring in Hydreigon, because he doesn't have a Draco response, he's forced to take huge damage. Now that I have Rocks up, Ordino is not a switch in because it will be 2-hit KO'd after Rocks, depending on rolls. I think it's in a very good chance in my favor to 2-hit KO Ordino. And he doesn't have lefties. I think he may actually be Shed Shell Ordino, which is really nice in this matchup, so I don't have to worry about him getting lefties with Protect back. I'm just going to fire off a Draco here. I lose nothing by it. I get damage off on the Scizor. I get valuable information. He does bring that in, and we do 36. So this is definitely like a really bulky Sizz. He's not a Soul Vest. He's a really bulky Scizor. He is going to... I don't think he's a Soul Vest. I'm pretty sure he's... I'm pretty sure this was just a Spit F Scizor. Either that or like really offensive with the Soul Vest, but I do believe this happened a while ago, but I'm pretty sure that was just a Spit F Scizor. I'll have to watch his side of the match to get confirmation on that, but he's now going to bring in his Ordino here. I'm going to switch out again into my Suicune this turn, as he is just going to go for the Wish, the Protect this turn. He protects, I Scald. If I can get a burn on this Ordino, we'll be chipping it down, really helping with Hydreigon's attempt at winning with Draco Meteor. He's going to Wish up this turn as I just click Scald again. He's going to now bring in his Roserade, which is nice. Like, this thing is definitely a bulky variant. I know it's probably not going to be a Technician because it is Black Sludge, and he is constantly bringing it in on Coon, so he's probably confident that he can switch out and remove those burns with Natural Cure. He's going to set up Spikes here, which are pretty nice for him. Again, like, it doesn't affect my Landorus and my Hydra, which is my Wincon, but it is going to be chipping down at Suicune, and it's going to be chipping down considerably at Decidueye, who prior to the poison was a really solid response to the Thundy and the Roserade. This turn he's going to go for the Sleep Powder and miss. Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate there. He does miss the Sleep Powder, which will allow me to get a Flamethrower damage. Now, I go for Flamethrower here, just in case he wanted to switch into his Thundy or his Scizor on the Heavy Slam, or the Acrobatics if I had that, or the Air Slash. Flamethrower there dealt good damage, and it did potentially put him in range of Heavy Slam, depending on his investment and depending on rolls here. He's going to go for Spikes this turn, as I do go for Heavy Slam. The first turn Flamethrower also lulled him into the sense that I didn't have Heavy Slam potentially, so he may have felt more confident that he would be able to set up Spikes all over me and potentially let this go, or just switch into Ordino and be able to Wish this thing up later on, as another Flamethrower would have left him out of range of Rocks after Black Sludge. But We did get him with a heavy slam there. Unfortunately, we aren't able to take it out, and he is going to try and hit another sleep powder. He does miss again, which is really unfortunate, as Selly is going to go down. Ultimately, Celestealer didn't really do much for the rest of the game. It just functioned as a sack, so it's not like it impacted the game in any way, but it definitely would have meant I had to either burn sleep turns with Celestealer versus the Rose, or revenge it with something like Hydreigon or my Landorus, which is quite fast. But yeah, that is definitely unfortunate for my opponent. You're going to see though, Celestealer is sacked off soon after this. He's going to bring in his Thundurus here, and I am just going to go into my Decidueye here on his all-out pummeling. I felt at this point he might click all-out pummeling, predicting my Hydreigon to come in, which would be a really aggressive play on his Nasty Plot or Thunderbolt. I could have also gone into Landorus though, which would have obviously died, which obviously would have absorbed the T-Bolt, but I would have died to something like any fighting hit from Thundy at that range of health, and obviously a Hidden Power Ice the following turn. So Decidueye was my play. It is my least expendable mon at this point in time as well, because Reserade's dealt with. This thing can take a sucker to the punch, sucker punch to the face, and then it's dead. Decidueye doesn't really do much for the rest of the game. Walled by Sizz, walled by Aldino. I don't have recovery because I'm Assault Vest, and Sucker Punch is going to put this thing below 50, which is nice, meaning that it can only switch in to rocks one more time, and it will die a second time. So Thundy is in a really difficult position now. He either sacks this, or he sacks Scizor, or he sacks Sharpedo. I'm just going to go for the Draco here. It is my best play, as if he does bring in Aldino, he will be 2 KO'd, and from then on, my Celestealer, my Lando, and my Suicune can really pressure his team, as Aldino is really the glue holding his team together at this point. He's going to go into his Scizor here, and I'm just going to go into my Celestealer, which could have been asleep at this point in the game, and just let it take a U-turn and be revenged by Sharpedo. So this is what I meant earlier when I said Celestealer was ultimately going to be a sack in this endgame. That meant that now that my Hydreigon can come out and basically get another kill. Like every time this thing comes in, I drop a Draco and get a kill, which is really nice. I could have clicked Flamethrower here or Dark Pulse. It would have killed Dark Pulse would have killed this, and it would have killed the Scizor after rocks. But on the off chance that he went Ordino, Dark Pulse wouldn't have 2-KO'd, and I can't have that thing wishing up and healing stuff like Scizor or Sharpedo. So I have to risk the miss here and go for the Draco, as Scizor is going to come in here. We connect, Scizor drops. So this is really solid. We're in a nice position here, but obviously Ordino can still potentially bring us home. I have to play around this carefully though. So I'm going to bring in my Suicune here, as he is going to go for the Ice Beam. It does 5. Obviously we can rest up in this thing's face, which is pretty nice. If we rest though, the problem is he can Encore. He can just pass a wish into Sharpedo and wish that up, which is definitely not something I want to happen. I want to keep Sharpedo low if possible. So my play here 100% is to spam Scald. Not only does my pressure stall out his Ice Beam, which is really nice, it also stalls out his Encore. So if he wants to Encore me multiple times, he's going to run out eventually, and I can start Calm Minding. I can start resting up without fear of his Sharpedo coming in and receiving the wish. If I get one Calm Mind up, at this point of health, because rocks are up, his Sharpedo will die to a Scald, guaranteed from neutral after taking around a rock. So I don't even have to worry about that thing coming in and receiving a wish, potentially missing out on the kill with Scald. He's at a range of health now where he guaranteed dies. So my play 100% is to spam Scald. If I get a burn, that's just nice. That's just like a nice bonus, but spamming Scald is my play here. If I can force this Ordino into a position where it has to click Protect, if I can get it low enough to a point where he needs to Protect in order to survive and receive the wish, I can make the aggressive switch out to Lando on his Protect and fire off my Z move, which will take out either the Ordino, the Wincon. I can take out, his Ordino or his Sharpedo, which is definitely his Wincon at this point. So that's nice. Ordino is just going to start spamming Wish Protect, which I can understand. Like, he needs me to choke basically at this point in the game, but we're not about to out here. So Ordino is just going to spam this. I'm going to spam Scald. It's going to get to a point where he's going to Encore me. I get a crit there. It only does 34, so Ordino's really fat even with no Spit F. Good to see my man Rob pick this thing up and is putting it to good use. He's going to go for Encore here, and he's running out of Encores. I think at this point in the match he'd used up 5 or 4. and he was getting low, and every time he hit me with an Ice Beam, he was getting low as well. He's going to go for Wish this turn, and now this is important. He needs to protect it. If I click Scald, Ordino dies, no one receives the Wish, and then Sharpedo just gets revenged by my Scarf Tydragon. So I'm going to make the switch out into Landorus here. If he clicks Ice Beam on this turn, I can still rest up with... I can still win with my Hydreigon. Hydreigon comes in and clicks Draco, and this thing dies, and then Sharpedo dies. And if he switches out to avoid Ordino dying to Draco, Crocoon wins. I can just click Rest, stall him out of Encores. His Ice Beam does 5. So I win in that sense. But I'm going to make the kind of risky aggressive switch into my Landorus here. It wasn't risky in the sense that he really did need to protect here. And even if he did Ice Beam, I still had a Wincon in Hydra and Suicune, so I'm going to make the switch out to Landorus just to accelerate the process a bit. I know he's going to protect here, and the nice thing about this situation is his protect will fail because I did switch out, but because Z-moves penetrate protect, which is a dumb mechanic, Z-move, like, even if he protects, Supersonic Psystrike will deal 25% of its actual damage through protect, and it will put him in range after burn of Earthquake. So I know Landorus is going to get a kill in this turn or the next turn regardless, and we do take out the Ordino with the Supersonic Psystrike, and now Sharpedo is just going to come in here and take me out with a crunch. Hydra is going to come in here and claim its 5th kill of the match. I'm pretty sure this thing got 5 kills, something like that. This thing just went in this match. So that was yeah, definitely a fun game versus Rob. Really cool to see Hydra get so many kills. Haven't brought Scarf to one game this season, and it definitely put in the work. So yeah, definitely an enjoyable match. Go check out my man Rob's side of the match. Obviously, going to be some great content on his channel, and it's always good to see the opponent's perspective when you've watched someone else's, in my opinion. Go listen to his commentary, hear what he has to say. He's a very good player. And yeah, Rob's in my division. I really would not be surprised, in my conference I should say, I wouldn't be surprised if we potentially face in playoffs. That will definitely be interesting. I know he's made a lot of changes to his team, and yeah, it'll be interesting to face him later on in playoffs. I think our playoff run is pretty much locked. Like our conference is really close, but based on differential, we're top of the league. And Rob is really closing in on that 3rd or 4th spot. I think Cheese is locked in 1st or 2nd, depending on how the rest of the season goes for both our teams. But yeah, it's really tight for that 3rd and 4th spot. Like Third, Rob, Jolt, all competing for that 3rd or 4th spot. I may have missed someone as well. It's just that close. So yeah, I really would not be surprised if we do end up facing Rob at some point in the playoffs. Would be fun to go again versus his team of threats. Sure, we'll see what happens there, but hope you guys enjoyed. This is a bit of a rush game, very busy at the moment, but hope you guys enjoyed nonetheless. If you did, drop a like and let me know what you guys thought in the comments, and I'll catch you guys next time.